Even very smart people get this confused. I recently talked about in a premium video about when this altcoin rally starts. If it had already started, how much altcoins can further rise. And a lot of people get this confused when I say that I believe that the real altcoin rally will start once Bitcoin will be sold. As in, I believe people need to take profit in Bitcoin in order for the altcoin rally to really take off. Most people have this backwards. Most people think, okay, there is some correlation between Bitcoin and the altcoins. So for the altcoins to go up, Bitcoin has to go up as well. And there is some truth to that, but it's not the entire truth. I personally look at two main indications to figure out where the altcoins are going. The first indication is the stablecoin market cap. I'll put a chart directly up here. The stablecoin market cap shows how many stablecoins are currently floating in crypto. And this is nicely enough a relatively stable chart, not a lot of volatility, and it shows us the current trends. And it shows us that since October of last year, more stablecoins are in the market. What this means fundamentally is that fiat gets converted into stablecoins, that people deposit money into the centralized exchanges. The centralized exchanges move this to, for example, Tether, and Tether then creates the equivalent coins on the blockchain. So you can see that money is flowing into crypto, and this is a very good sign for altcoins in general to go up, right? Because you need money for prices to rise, obviously, and stablecoins are mainly used for altcoin speculation, especially on centralized exchanges, right? A lot of the trading pairs on centralized exchanges are versus Tether. So seeing that going up is nice. But why do I then say that Bitcoin has to get sold for the altcoin rally to really start? I say this because in the past, what we have seen is the cycle developed with a relatively stable pattern. We've seen this several times in the past. We first see our bear market, right? People lose money. We see crashes of 70-80% in Bitcoin. And then we see a bottoming. Now the bottoming happens because people dollar cost average into Bitcoin. We see the bottoming happening first in Bitcoin because when you simply just want to invest for the long term, you take advantage of those low prices, you will mainly do this in Bitcoin because you know that Bitcoin will still be in high demand in the next bull run, right? Bitcoin will recover at some point. So the risk to reward is really nice for Bitcoin when Bitcoin is low. So that's why when there's a bear market, people buy Bitcoin. People don't buy random altcoins because those random altcoins can still continue further going down. Those random altcoins might still have token inflation. They might still have vesting unlocks. They might still have further selling pressure. So holding altcoins in a bear market is very, very risky. But dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin in a bear market is fine. And that's why we see the bottoming first happening in Bitcoin. Now what then happens is that Bitcoin obviously recovers, right? It found a bottom, people then jump on the first initial hype rally, and this is also when Bitcoin dominance tends to continue to go up. This is what the current trend that we see actually. We see that Bitcoin dominance tended to trend upwards in the last few months, obviously also fueled by the Bitcoin ETF. And at the same time, we see the altcoins somewhat mirroring this, but it's very selective, right? It's not the broad altcoin market as a whole. It's in few pockets, it's in DePIN, it's in GameFi, but it's not all of the altcoins are going up. So what happens then is, once Bitcoin rises and rises, and the Bitcoin dominance, so Bitcoin as a fraction of all of crypto, is relatively high, what then happens is that the risk to reward for Bitcoin isn't that great anymore. So when Bitcoin is just at, say, 15,000, right, and used to be at almost 70,000, then people can see, okay, the risk to reward is pretty good. Bitcoin will probably not go to 1,000, but it might recover again to 50,000, so let's buy it. But when Bitcoin is already at 50,000, maybe the potential upside from here is another 2-3x. It's not necessarily anymore a 10x in the next year, right? That would be very surprising if Bitcoin was to 10x in 12 months. It wasn't that surprising of a thought when Bitcoin is just at 15K. So when that's the case, right? When the risk to reward in Bitcoin isn't that good anymore, people are already in profit massively, and people still want to get more risk exposure. That's then when we see a recycling of the Bitcoin profits. So what we then see is that Bitcoin doesn't rise that fast anymore. It will still go up in US dollar terms, but it won't rise that fast anymore. And a lot of the gains that have been made get shuffled into the altcoins. So the last time we saw this was when Bitcoin was on this rally to the 69K, when Bitcoin was at around 40K. At that point, a lot of the Bitcoin profit had been taken. You see that the value days destroyed metric, for example, shot up. So a lot of long-term holders, they sold. And you see at the same time as the long-term holders have sold, the value days destroyed went up, the market value to realized value Z-score also went up. So all the long-term holders, they exited. You see that this was the reflection point where Bitcoin dominance went down and altcoin dominance shot up. So the altcoins from that 40K mark in Bitcoin outperformed Bitcoin by roughly 200%, made three times more return than Bitcoin in the subsequent months. So we saw a massive rotation happening there, even though Bitcoin still went from those 40 to 68, 69K. So this is how I think about this. I think we are currently in crypto expansion. I do believe that pretty much all cryptos are likely going to go up from here because money is flowing in the system, because the stablecoin market caps are going up. But at the same time, I don't think we are yet at peak hype. And I do believe that we need to see a lot of profit taking in Bitcoin for peak hype to occur. We need to see that capital goes from the Bitcoin profits to the altcoins. And we see this when Bitcoin dominance is relatively high. We see this when the value days destroyed metric goes really, really high. And that's then when the real party starts. That's then when we can simply just have a broadly diversified portfolio of altcoins and we're doing way better than Bitcoin. So this is my plan, right? I will watch those metrics. I will keep you updated, of course, how those metrics develop over time on this channel. So feel free to subscribe. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, please give this a like as well because it helps the channel grow. See you next time. Cheers.